Hi, and welcome back. I know most of you are used to just seeing my giant test videos and everything, but tonight I wanted to do something a little different, a little more special to me, because I like to talk. I have so many stories I've shared over the years, and my channel's gotten deleted, and so I would have to reshare them. So I don't have many on this channel, but I have shared. So any of the people that have been following me over the years, you've probably seen some of my old ones, but this is a new one. So I have to reshare. And that makes it kind of exciting, a little bit new. And I'm going to share a story I don't think I shared on any of my channels yet. And it's kind of one of those times where it wasn't one of my better moments. I'll tell you that much right now. And, we all have those low moments in life, and God knows I've had my share, like over my share, I think sometimes. But, I decided to get professionally dressed up for this little sharing with you because I like to doll up, if you haven't noticed by now. Just for no reason. Yeah. And I have so many other stories I'm going to share too, but tonight it was a toss-up between my brother's death and my time in the shelters and in Holland, Michigan, and with drug addicts. And I decided on the latter of the two. I'm going to share with you the first time I really I can't say ever met drug addicts, because I have some family members that were at one point. So I knew them. But this is the first time I actually was somewhat participating, but yet not. Like the off-stand person in the whole group of people that hang out and do drugs. I was that person. Yeah. And it was pretty low. I guess I'll start at the beginning when I actually went to the mission. It was in Holland, Michigan, and the mission itself was really nice. But I kind of liked all the missions because I got to be with people, and I didn't have to live alone. And back then, I didn't have any regular person. I had Brian, I think, at the time. No, he was still with me. Yeah. We were doing a long distance relationship at that time, which you know how those are. But we were kind of together, but not really. I don't know what to call it, but it was one of those moments where you feel like you have somebody, but you don't really have them with you. It was that. It was so weird. But I was with a lot of weird people, and I hope I can give this story justice on how extreme it was and the amount of crap I went through in a certain amount of months, and in the timing I'm allotted here, because I don't want to go too far. I don't want to be too long-winded, but all my stories, if you don't know me, have always pulled drama to me most of my life, and I don't know how, but I always would get people and meet the wrong types of people, and then I would get pulled into their life in this whirlwind of drama and chaos, and I don't ever know how I got pulled into it, but once I was in it, it was like the literal fight for life. You're sitting there and you're in the moment, you don't even know what to think. You just kind of go on automatic pilot, and you're just there, and all these things happen, and you're just living it. And then afterwards you realize, what the heck? I went through all that. That's kind of what my life was a lot of it was a lot. of my life, because you'd have those moments where they just, it could either be slow motion or really fast. And mine were always seemed like they were like, at the moment, it seemed to like at times like be really slow. Other times it'd be like, wow, that much time went by. And of course I was working, at the time. Well, eventually I got a job where I was at the mission, and they get helped us with bus fare and stuff like that. So I end up with a job, and I walked a lot. Back then I walked everywhere. Either I rode my bike or I walked. That's how I was. I was very self-sufficient that way. I didn't really rely on vehicles. And then the bus system, of course. But so I was okay with it. It was my life. Story of my life. And, but yeah, I met 2 people at the shelters, and let's just say they totally changed my life. These 2 people were the whole of what it felt like down there. And in life, I think, is about who you know. A lot of times, we go into situations, we meet this person or that person, and they can totally impact our life. And that's what it was with me, with these 2 people. And they were both females. Ironically, I always got involved with females. No, I'm not that way, but yeah, I always would attract females that would want to be motherly figures to me. I don't know how this person even would fit the category of motherly, but she took on the role. I don't know if any of you have seen the movie Monster, but that big tough woman, she's like that tomboyish type. I don't remember her name. I think it's Eileen. The character that she's based off of her name is Eileen. She was in prison. I think she still is, or she's passed on. I don't remember, but I think she's passed on because they did a documentary and stuff. So I think she is dead. But yeah, that woman is with this first woman that I met. Totally reminds me of. She encompasses this woman. And I was her little female friend that she would mother and control and everything. That's what it was with me and Jessica. That's the first girl. She introduced me to a bunch of her male friends. Yeah, I'm gonna go past the whole mission thing, because that was a lot. But the main stories is with these 2 people and their little friends. The first place I went to was with Jessica and her clan of male friends that were into drugs and stealing things, and they would take things like computers, swipe them from people, and then fix them up and sell them, I think is what they would do mainly. And somehow they, as a collage, had this place, an apartment, and it was actually a pretty nice apartment. I'll have to give them that. And Jessica did keep it up pretty cleanly, which is odd for drug addicts, but they were actually pretty, cleanliness was important to them. And I helped out where I could. At one point I was selling Kirby vacuums, and we ended up bringing it home. I brought it home, I think, almost every night. And sometimes they would use it and clean the floors with it and stuff like that. But yeah, my jobs I'm not going to really talk a lot about, because that's going to be probably a whole nother video on its own. Because it's just all the situations I was dealing with in this moment was totally different than the ones I was dealing with my jobs at the time, which I had multiple. I had first I had a bowling alley, which my friend Annika, the other female I'm going to talk about, she screwed me of that job. And technically, though, I must say, I think it was Jessica. No, Jessica screwed me of being in the mission. Because what happened was, when I was at the mission, for a while, I was actually holding 2 jobs. I was doing my bowling alley, and I kind of got into it a little, but it hadn't taken off yet. but I was mainly doing my job with Adrian Lopez, who did Kirby vacuums, and we sold Kirby vacuums and went in and did demonstrations. And I was trying to do those two jobs. But when I was interviewing, the first time I was interviewing for the bowling alley job, which I hadn't gotten it yet, I was going to have my friend Jessica come and get me and bring me back to the mission because I still was not hooked on staying there with them. Like, she wanted me to, but I didn't want to. I wanted to stay at the mission and, you know, have them help me out. And she ended up bringing me, like, she literally told me when she came to get me, which at that time I was happy because the guy in the bowling alley was sitting there in the back ogling me and I had been drunk. Yeah, that was technically, I guess, was my day one because it was like an orientation, but yeah, you know how they show you the ropes and everything? They like show you how it's done. That's kind of what they were doing, and he was so lax, and I didn't even feel like it was work, but I got some tips, and he ogled me. And then Jessica came at that timing, and I was so happy she was there. And that was also the night that she was like, you know, I'm not going to bring you back to the shelters. And I was like, well, I need to get back there. They're expecting me by a certain time. And she's like, well, I'm not going to bring you back there. And she brought me back to their place. And I didn't have a vehicle or anything. But, you know, at that time I was like, well, whatever. I guess I'll just try to stay with her. And later on I went and told the people at the mission. And they said, well, they'll give me a second chance. And something happened. I blew the second chance. But they tested me for drugs and all that shit. I passed. And I hadn't gotten as involved with them yet. But yeah, this group of guys, let me tell you, they are freaky. They were so, like, weird. Like, they would trip every 2 seconds. Especially this one guy, he would pace back and forth. And he would always be, like, so paranoid that the cops were going to come and arrest them. Apparently, the cops were sitting out across the street, like, watching the place. They were one of those type of places that the cops would, you know, keep an eye on because they had an idea, but they weren't 100%. It was like that. And I was like, you know, this is kind of weird, but I just went along with it. And they would have a lot of booze and they would mix drinks, and I think the combination was really bad on me because the first night that they gave me like a bunch of drinks, I like totally flipped. And I mean, when I mean flip, I mean I'm screaming like a banshee. I was screaming my freaking full head off. And I think I had lost grip with reality at that time. I don't think I even was in my right frame of mind anymore. And I'm honestly shocked that no cops had come that night because of how loud I was. They were so scared that the cops were going to come, though, that they all ditched. They all, like, just gone. They were ghosts. And, you know, it might also be because we sat in the back. They had this room in the back room where they did all of their stuff. And they would pass the stuff around. I think they did something in a pipe, like a little pipe thing. I think they huffed that and stuff like that. And they gave me, like, they let me try it at one point, and I just kind of, like, pretended like I did, but I didn't. But I was sitting back there, so, you know, and they had the door shut. So I think I was still getting a whiff of whatever they were smoking. But, so, yeah, that along with the alcohol might have been why I acted so much. And then Isaac has a theory that they actually did put stuff in my drink for date rape and stuff like that. So yeah, they might have done stuff like that. There's one black guy I had befriended while I was still at the mission, and he actually ended up staying with us as well. So it was like one of those types of like pads where everybody just sleeps wherever they can. I ended up sleeping on the floor by the couch. And that night, though, the black guy, um, he stayed with me and he helped clean up all, like, I threw up everywhere. There was so much, like, throw up and vomit. I was, like, drenched in it. And, like, I think he told me later I threw up for an hour straight. And I didn't remember a single thing. Like, I didn't even remember. He sat me in the tub and washed me off. And it was like, it was really weird, like, moment for me. And I just blacked out and then totally fell asleep, I guess. Because the next day I woke up. And I don't know if I went and got laid on the floor or if he helped put me there. But somehow I was on the floor. And so honestly, I don't even know if any of them did stuff to me. That's kind of freaky. I was just on the floor and my clothes were off. So, yeah. I think I had a blanket over me. So, at least I had something. But yeah, when I woke up, there was this weird guy staring at me. And that was really freaking weird. Like, the guy was laying right next to me. And he started, like, doing things with me. Yes, I ended up doing stuff with him. But I was in my right frame of mind, people, at that time. But yeah, he was the only guy I actually kind of had a crush on. The other guys were really freaking weird. But, no offense if any of you actually end up watching my stuff, because I don't know, maybe y'all do. But, yeah, they were all really fucking weird. And I might only get through this first story because I didn't think about the fact it's so long. I'm sorry. But, yeah, after that night, it was like, it was pretty much the same type of thing, day in, day out. And I would try to, get my money for them and everything. We'd do things together. We went to, like, a church function, I think, for the New Year's or something. And it was pretty fun. Me and this one black guy, we went to see the movie, the Passions of the Christ together. That was fun. So we didn't have, like, only bad moments. And we actually kind of did like to make foods together and stuff like that. Jessica actually liked to, get foods together and whatever little food stamp money and other things they had. So we did, like, little things like that. We went to the library a lot and did the computers there. Basic stuff. And there's this one night that I really regret. I was not good. Like, I was a bad girl. But I had been drinking again. I think I only drank twice when I was with them. That first time, and then this time I drank some. Not as much. And I didn't sit in the back with them and have that smell. But, I ended up kissing her guy. And it was, just one time. And she saw me sitting on his lap. And I was like, oh my gosh. And she came in the room. And she was like, I got the look of death. Like, she gave me it, literally. And I think her, like, eyes went another color entirely. And she was, like, going to kill me. Like, she was literally, I think, going to kill me. And that was the first time I ever got, like, so badly assaulted that I was thinking I was gonna die. Like, she was literally trying to force me, this little petite female, out a freaking 2-story building window. And I was like sitting there fighting for my life. Like, she was literally, like, grabbing at my neck and then trying to yank me out the freaking window. I was literally going to die. And some of the other guys had to, like, jump her and get her to, like, calm down. I think it took a couple men, which is, like, saying something because, well, she wasn't a small woman. You have to realize that. She's kind of big. So she's, like, two of these guys were, like, just, like, grabbing her. I ran to the back room and closed the door. I was so scared, and I think that actually was the little epitome that or epiphany or whatever it's called. The cat that killed the canary. No, the cat that something. I don't know what I'm saying. It was the pivotal moment where everything went bad. And from that moment on, I knew I didn't really have her as a friend anymore, and I understood, But she was kind of rude to me multiple times, and I at one point we kind of made amends, but then it didn't stick, and they didn't like that I wasn't able to get as much money because I was getting screwed over by my other job. So yeah, I ended up just being like I did. One night I cleaned the whole bathroom. I was like cleaning frenzy because I wanted to do something. Like knew I didn't have much money, so I was like, I'll clean for them. I cleaned the whole bathroom out, and they're like, hey, you're just in there taking your sweet time, blah 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 blah. And I came out, I was like, yeah, you're welcome. I cleaned the whole bathroom for you all, and so I had the last laugh. And that's when I ditched out. I grabbed all my things, and Annika had already told me I could come stay with her. She kind of knew about Jessica, and she had been there at one point as well. One of the guys liked her from there. And so yeah, I went over and stayed with Annika, and trust me, it wasn't much better. So I went from one cuckoo nest to the next. Yeah, let's go over there. And I guess this is where I think I met Andrew. The guy that raped me. The guy that had an obsession for me for 10 years and then finally raped me. Maybe he had me there too. I don't know. But yeah. A lot of crap happened when I was with Annika as well. She had a lot of guys in and out as well. She would have little one night stands and stuff and cheat on her boyfriend. And during all this time, I was trying to keep with Brian, and I talked to him a lot on whatever phone I could get a hold of. Because, it was long distance, so most of my friends didn't like that I would even call him. So I only got certain times that I could call him. Or, calling cards or whatever I could do. So it was hard. But we did what we could. And yeah, we had phone sex. That was nice. I was that kind of girl. Naughty, naughty Lisa. But there's this one guy that I had been with Jessica, and he ended up with Annika at one point. And then she realized or figured out somehow that I had been with him, and she was all over his ass. And that night her man came home, and he was like, what the fuck, who the hell is this? And Annika was like, just play along. I don't want him to get upset, because they were just think engaged, and I was that goody. So I did what I obliged by her. So I acted like he was with me. And I think he got annoyed with her too. He ended up leaving and not coming back, which was sad. I was sad because I actually liked being with him still, even though we didn't hit it off sexually at all. But he didn't I don't know, back then I wasn't as I don't know, I just didn't really do well with sexual intercourse that well. I was okay, but I wasn't I didn't want to get pregnant in ways by people, and I knew if they went into me deep enough, plus my rape, made it so I didn't like it when they went all the way inside of me. It kind of scared me, and I was still very beginning of things like that. So I didn't let them go really that deep, and I think I just pretended like it got in me, and it didn't. So I think in a way I made him not really be interested in me, but you know what? Whatever. Freaking drug addict anyways. I don't know what I was ever saw in that weirdo. But especially some oddity that's sitting there gawking at you when you wake up. That should be a warning bell, ladies. The guy sitting there gawking at you when you open your eyes, that means he probably been staring at you all night or a good amount of time. And that's freaking weird. Don't go for guys like that. Unless you like stalker types. Which I don't. But, yeah, other than that, I had a lot of weird guys that I was with that I would meet here or there. Anik a lot of time had to protect me because I didn't want to tell these guys like I wasn't interested because I was kind of scared. And I would always, whenever a guy came to the door, I would run into a different room and like hide. And I'd be like, just get him to go away. I don't want to deal with him. And like maybe I'd had one little time with the person or something. One time when I was at, oh, this one I have to tell you this one. One time when I was at with Jessica still, because I did that even there. This one Mexican guy like was knocking at the door, and they're like they were wigged out even when you knock and they knew you, they'd still trip. They'd be like, who is that? And he'd say his name and everything. He'd be like, is Lisa there? And I guess Jessica went down and checked out who he was, and I heard him talking to them about me. He was like, yeah, she's really hot, isn't she? She's like really good in bed. Like I loved feeling up in her. And I was like, oh my gosh, he's like literally saying my shit out in public for everybody. Like that embarrassed me beyond no end. That was so embarrassing. And I turned like bright red, I think. And it was like, I think that pivotal moment that all the other odd guys had that odd way about them. Maybe that's why that one guy had the thought to sit there and stare at me. I wonder. It's just odd thoughts like that though. But yeah, it was like weirdos like that. Like I swear, when I was with Adrian and his job, I guess most people would consider people like me a whore. Because literally, I don't know how many of the guys that worked with me would come up to me and hit on me. Or, that's the thing though, being the only female, there was one other female that ended up there with me besides me. She left with this other guy. And it was just me. So all the guys there were some nasty, sick fucks. And up to including AJ. He was the worst. And, he was sitting there, yeah, with me that way, on the phone with his freaking girlfriend. That's how nasty he was. And, I realized that about him, and I was like, Annika was trying to get me to say rape on him, but until she didn't said anything to me, I wasn't going to. I was just going to let it be in, those quick pro quos for work and everything. And I was just like, whatever. I'd been that way so many times by then. And, it just kind of starts wearing on you that's, how it is. And so you just go about your day, and that's how it is, You just think of it like that. And she's like, no, Lisa, you're going to go down to the police department and we're going to report this asshole. And we went and told him, he laughed about it, haha. He did end up in jail for something else, so. But I didn't get him for that, and I didn't get him for almost trying to bring me to a sex slave ring. So, I'm glad he didn't get me. I don't care that he fired my ass, because I wouldn't stay with them. And I wanted to go I had to go meet my mom and dad. They wanted to see me for dinner. And I'm glad they wanted to, because otherwise, all he was going to do is get me a passport, and I was going to go to another country. And he said I was going to pick up some guy, and that I was going to marry the guy, and that I would help the guy get back to America. But Yeah. On further inspection, I probably would have been just sold to a sex ring, which would have sucked. So, Adrian, fuck you, bitch.